All right, so when I presented this assignment to my preceptor, he had asked that I do this presentation for the quality meeting. So they do quality meetings at the facility about every 3 months, and so we have to present every 3 months as a department. And so they asked me to create the in-service to be more of a quality meeting / in-service training. So this is not only an education for the food service staff, but also for the rest of the hospital staff, because at this facility in particular, it is this is a very prominent subject, and it's kind of causing a lot of trouble and creating a lot of red in our budgets. And so my preceptor thought the in-service was a great idea, but he thought, hey, let's kind of coordinate some things and combine presentations. So I'll be following the format of my facilities presentations for more of a leadership meeting type setup. So that will be kind of what the form is on this. So I will be kind of educating and reporting on the facility's tray waste. So I have been collecting data along with the dietitian and the dietetic techs on also the food service staff. And this is kind of the waste that we are seeing all together. So the goal for the facility is to have tray waste be less than 30%, or around $214 of waste per month. So that's including all of the trays ordered for 3 daily meals. Another goal is to ensure that all staff in each department that are responsible for updating diet orders are knowledgeable of the procedure. So the reason we're having all of this tray waste is because patients are admitted to the facility and they are placed on either a regular diet, a carbohydrate controlled diet, cardiac diet, etc. And so they're placed on those room tray diets. So once the patient sees the physician and the psychologist, they are cleared to go down to what is called the cafe. And at the cafe, patients are able to pick their own meals. They don't, there's not really a huge regulation on what they're able to pick. And so that means that they no longer are eating the meals that are being sent to the units. And so this is kind of what's causing the tray waste, is because there is a setting in the facility uses Cerner as their charting system. There is a setting in Cerner that requires either the dietitian, the dietetic technician, a nurse, a doctor, one of those healthcare professionals to change the diet order from room tray to dining room. It's as simple as that, changing that, in the diet order section in Cerner. It's, I don't want to say it's that simple, but it really is quite an easy process to change the meals from room tray to dining room, and this would eliminate their ticket from being placed in the tray room, or the tray, the meal tray for each meal, the meal tray list for each meal. And this would then create less tray waste, because right now no one is changing the diet orders, and so all these trays are being sent up to the units, but only, I'd say, out of 100 trays that are being sent to the units, only 20 of them are actually being consumed by the patients on the units. So to kind of, my preceptor recommended to split this up into money, because that is a huge deal for facilities, and leadership needs to see, how much money we are wasting, because it's not just the food service or the culinary nutrition or the clinical nutrition department this is an issue for. This is a all department situation, and everyone kind of needs to work as a team in order to help fix this and help, make this problem less of an issue. So after doing the tracking the data, using the return tray tickets, and using that about $2 for how much each tray counts, this is kind of what I've come up with. So in January, February, and March, I've split it up to, at the top here, you see we wasted 4,326 trays in January, February 4,520 trays, and then in March 3,652 trays. And so I've then accumulated this to amounts, and so you can see here on the right side the target amounts for the waste for each month based on that $214 goal. And then you can see what we have been spending on trays and tray waste in the red there. So the targets definitely have not been met for January, February, or March. So the way we did the cost of the trays is I worked with the food service supervisor and my preceptor, and we determined that trays cost about $2.28 each. So using that information from the last slide, that's how I was able to fill in the blank with, we wasted 4,000 or so trays each month, and I was able to multiply that by that $2.28 to get those total amounts. So January, February, and March, all of the adult and adolescent units were significantly above that target. So you can see on the graph here, I've placed the line, the target line about where the goal is for our tray waste, and these are all the units at the facility, and as you can see, everyone is very much above targets. And I will say in March we are missing data for 2 full days, but I really do think that even regardless of the 2 days, this data really does accurately represent what's kind of going on at this facility. And so no units, again, were below this target for the past 3 months. So here are kind of, and this is what my supervisor recommended me setting up kind of the goals and how to go about this situation, is in this barriers and action plan kind of setup. So barriers are that those diet orders that I was explaining earlier are not being updated. So here are the following barriers to changing those diet orders noted by our staff here. So a patient is cleared to go off unit after the tray ticketing deadline. Patients with special diet needs do not always know if they want to eat at the cafe or on the units. And this causes that patients are often switching back and forth between eating at the cafe and up on the units, and changing diet orders for where patients are eating their meals does now require a cosign. And so what I would like to do is standardize this process. So the dietitian has previously met with the nursing director to discuss these barriers, and pretty much what the RN director said was that the staff would not be able to complete these, the nursing staff would not be able to complete and help change these due to time, which we understand, everyone's very busy. So a new action that I'm proposing is that clinical nutrition staff have observed, so that would be the dietitian, the diet techs have observed that the staff on the unit use a sign-out sheet for the patients that are going down to eat at the cafe. So for each meal, there could be a member of the food service department assisting one member of on-unit staff, so this would require some teamwork. This team would be dedicated to looking at the sign-out sheet and making sure each patient's meal order is updated. So this team of culinary and on-unit staff will ensure that this collaborative process and joint effort between the departments. So it's not just up to the nursing or the nursing techs, and it's not just up to clinical nutrition, it's not just up to food service. This is a joint effort. Another barrier that has been noticed is communication between culinary and nutrition, and then the on-unit staff. So hoping to simplify this process, and this can be done by assigning one member of the food service department verifies the trays that are needed for each unit. So this would, at the beginning of each meal period before the tray tickets are printed, a member of the food service department would call each unit, and that unit, using their on-unit sign-out sheets, would then relay the message to the culinary department about who needs what tray, and make sure those trays are all ordered properly. Because currently, culinary is still receiving multiple calls at separate times and from different staff members on the same unit. And this is causing trays that are not needed by patients to be sent up, and those are ended up going to waste. So some of my other ideas, like, I know this presentation, hopefully it makes sense to everyone who's watching, and I know it kind of might seem all over the place, just because you're not familiar with what the facility kind of is doing, but in my mind it makes sense, so I hope it my message was relayed well. Because I'm been asked to combine this meeting as like a leadership meeting and an in-service training. I'm kind of debating on what I could use for a handout. I'm thinking maybe just doing like, you know, easy, like regarding the food service staff and like the on-unit staff, like, you know, easy ways to reduce tray waste, like putting in these steps to like check in and making the calls and like time, with timestamps, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do for my handout, but I hope this made sense, and thank you for listening.